Mutants, evolution, amok, time travel. Oh my. Hello, welcome to my channel, another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and this is week 2 of Rocket Summer. Rocket Summer is the great event created by Michael K. Vaughan. This event helps people or encourages people to read classic science fiction through its origins up through the 60s. There are weekly prompts about how to do this, and this is week 2, so I am reading science fiction from the 1940s. There are a bunch of great co-hosts, and I will list them in the description of this video. I started off with an audiobook of Slan by A.E. van Vogt, originally published in 1946. This novel is about evolved humans, mutant humans. They're called Slans. They are an artificial creation by Samuel Land. They have psychic abilities. They can read minds. They are super intelligent. And regular humans really do not like Slans. They feel like they will take over the world if Slans are not put in their place. And there are two types of Slans. There is the first type that have tendrils. This is sort of markings in their hair. They have the full psychic ability where they can read minds. And they're the other type of Slan, the non-tendril type, that do not have this psychic ability. They cannot read minds, but they can block minds or block their own mind from other Slans being able to read it. So what happens in this futuristic society? There is a human dictator named Kyre Gray, and his mission is to wipe out the Slans. And there is this one Slan who's very young. He starts off, he's 9 years old, but Slans evolve quicker than normal humans, so he's really in his teenage years. And he is on the run with his mother, and he sees his mother get murdered by the dictator's thugs. So Jami has to go into hiding. He takes up with an old woman who is called Grandma. She recognizes him as a Slan, and she wants him to use his psychic powers to enrich herself. So for a number of years, Jami has to hide out until he can be a little bit older. Jami knows the secret location where his father hid a massive and important weapon, and this weapon will help him find the true Slans, because he wants to free the Slans, because right now he believes they're all in hiding, along with the other type of non-tendril Slans. So what is this novel? Essentially, it's just a great adventure story. It's not really very deep or very important, but the adventures of Jami are exciting as he tries to find his other Slans. And it may be kind of odd to say it this way, since Jami is a mutant, but he's very humane in his reactions and interactions with other humans. He wants this to be more or less a peaceful coexistence. But the dictator, Kyre Gray, wants to commit genocide against the Slans. The main thing I took out of this novel is its act of genocide, or intended genocide, against the Slans. I guess there's always something in one group of people or another who looks down at others as being different and unimportant and somehow getting in the way of your own progress. And if only you got rid of this group of people, these mutants, these Slans, these undocumented immigrants, life would be so much better. But this story proves that, no, it's not a good idea to commit genocide. And this novel does have two surprises in it that sort of, let me say, impressed me. Overall, a pretty good novel. I had also intended to read the novel Triplanetary by E. Doc Smith, originally published in 1948. It is chronologically the first story in his Lensman series. But in a live stream with Vintage SF and a few of the other Rocket Summer hosts, it was pointed out to me that Triplanetary is really not the best introduction to the Lensman series, that I should start with the third book, Galactic Patrol. And on July 3rd, I read the first 2 chapters of Galactic Patrol. On July 4th, I went on a long weekend to a lake house. I never picked up Triplanetary, or I never picked up Galactic Patrol again because it was pointed out to me, or I realized that I'm also in the Summer of Steinbeck group, and I really needed to catch up on reading East of Eden. So I put down Galactic Patrol for another time. Not this month. I also read 2 short stories from the 1940s in this week. First, Microcosm God by Theodore Sturgeon, originally published in 1941. This is about a reclusive biochemist named Kidder. He goes to an island that he owns and he starts fumbling around with biochemistry, and he creates something marvelous and strange. He creates a synthetic life form that has a very fast evolutionary period. It can create a generation of life in a matter of days. And this very fast generation of life can create massive and new forms of technology that Kidder can sell out to the regular world. Now, Kidder was already rich. He's not really that impressed with gaining a lot of money, but the rest of the world wants to know how Kidder can come up with all this great new technology. Trouble ensues. Now, what I really liked about this story is about its evolutionary approach. We think that evolution takes a very long time because our species is relatively long-lived. But imagine if your species only lived a day or so, and you had the entire cycle to create from there. Your evolution would be very fast. And this Kidder, he gets his synthetic light troubles to overcome because he is their master. He is their god. And if he wants something created, he creates trouble to get these life forms to create something for him. Very fascinating. And it was voted one of the best science fiction novels of all time. Of course, I am holding up the Science Fiction Hall of Fame. This is a collection of very great short stories. Anyone who's interested in science fiction from its early origins in the 30s through the 60s should pick up this book. I also read The Brooklyn Project by Philip Klass, also known as his pen name, William Tenn. When I was a freshman at university, I took a class in science fiction, and I had to read a number of these stories from this Roads to Science Fiction volume. And one of the stories that I liked most was The Brooklyn Project by William Tenn. It is a story about time travel. Now, I often have issues with time travel stories. There are some great don't get me wrong, there are some really great time travel stories out there. The Time Machine is one of them. But sometimes when authors are talking about time travel, they invent stuff to create paradoxes. And some of these inventions just don't work very well. I'm thinking about the novel from Stephen King about the JFK assassination. Otherwise, a great novel, but he really messed it up when he started talking about the rules of time travel. What happens when you time travel? Because you can't allow a grandfather paradox to happen. Right. So let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the Brooklyn Project. In this story, there are a group of scientists. They've invited a whole bunch of journalists to attend this conference. They say they have a way to travel back in time, but they want to verify that if you travel back in time, nothing untoward, nothing problematic will happen to the future. So their idea is to send a particle back in time, and their time machines will judge what is happening throughout time after you send this particle. And one of the theories that the scientists come up with, if you send something back in time, you would never know if the past was changed because the change would be seamless to the present. And that is a fascinating idea. It is a little odd. He does stretch it a little bit like Stephen King did, but in a way that I really liked. Let me read this short paragraph from the story as one of the scientists is speaking to the journalists. As you know, one of the fears entertained about travel to the past was that the most innocent-seeming acts would cause cataclysmic changes in the present. You are probably familiar with the fantasy in its most currently popular form. If Hitler had been killed in 1930, he would not have forced scientists in Germany and later occupied countries to immigrate. This notion might not have had an atomic bomb. Thus, no third atomic war, and Venezuela would still be part of the South American continent. Where is this third atomic war? It has just sort of slipped in to this story. And oddly enough, the particle has already gone back into the past. And when this story ends, it ends in one of my favorite scenes in a science fiction novel. Oh, no, sorry, a science fiction short story. Does he get time travel exactly right? No. He does stretch it to the point for storytelling purposes to get his point across. Now, Stephen King may have also tried to get his point across in time travel, but he does, Stephen King did his in a much more ludicrous fashion. But I like the time travel in this story, The Brooklyn Project by William Tenn. Seek it out. Okay, that is what I have read for Week 2, Rocket Summer. I am really digging this event with all my other co-hosts because we all like classic science fiction, and there are so many great novels and great short stories written in the classic age of science fiction. I hope a lot of you will seek some of the stories or books that I have read or the ones that are being read by my co-hosts. Thank you for watching, and keep on reading classic science fiction.